Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom. Nathan Drinkard, I'm Jay Wise. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. As you well know, our show is hosted on the Anchor app, but we also on all the other big podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, just to name a few. And if you prefer the video format of the show, we're also up and running on the A Drink of Wisdom YouTube channel. Like, listen, share, subscribe. We appreciate all that support. What's going on, Drink? How we doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing over there?
I'm doing well. Seems like we did this not too long ago.
Yeah,
In more ways than one.
just a little bit. It's nothing wrong with a little rehearsal, but you know what I'm saying. Hey, up Saturday, giving the people what they want. You know what time it is. We got to do our thing. We got to get our fix in for the weekend. We see what they don't, say what they want. Let's get it rolling. And last but not least, let's talk some sports, baby. Let's go.
Episode 41, the Bucks get blown out. The Blazers win with free throws, and we look back at a busy NBA trade deadline. But we start today with the NCAA tournament and the Sweet 16 that is set to get underway this afternoon. Top seeded Baylor Bears will meet Villanova this afternoon, while Michigan and Gonzaga, they'll be in action tomorrow. The Cinderella of the tournament is Oral Roberts, and they face their next challenge in Arkansas this evening as they look to become the first 15 seed to make the Elite Eight. And the Pac 12, they have three of their four teams in action tomorrow night, including an interconference battle when Oregon and USC get together. Okay, Drink, what has your attention in these matchups, and who do you have in the Final Four?
All right, so it's a few things that have my attention. The first thing I want to talk about is the double-digit seeds that still remain in this tournament. You got 12th seed Oregon State, 15th seed Oral Roberts, 11th seed Syracuse, 11th seed UCLA. I know you're saying, oh, it's UCLA. Yes, but you got to remember this. This was not a normal year. UCLA played in the first four. So to make it from the first four to the final four is a tough task. Not to say it cannot be done, but you got to go through my boys at Bama. So we're going to talk about it. So, just having the diversity I know a lot of people try to equate the format for college basketball and say we could use it in college football, but this just shows you the reason you couldn't. Because it's every year we get into this debate who should be number four. You have like seven legitimate teams, and the rest of them, they fish bait pretty much. Hey, just gonna put them on the hook. Let's go ahead and get this trout over here and hook it up. So this work. This is a beautiful format for college basketball. I love it. I like seeing the diversity. But let's just knock it off and let's leave March Madness alone and let March Madness have its own unique feel. And that's what we got here. The second thing is I'm looking to see what that lone survivor of the Big Ten, Michigan, what they do tomorrow night. Can Florida State go and get them out of here? Can Florida State go ahead and put the nail in the casket of the Big Ten Conference, even though they got 9 teams in from the beginning? I can't believe it. So, can Florida State make that happen? I'm curious to see. I'm ready to see. Let's roll. And then my third fact, last but not least, the Pac-12 conference. We know half of the field of the Sweet 16 seems to be made up of the Pac-12 conference. We did not see that coming. Well, let me say I did not see that coming. Not to speak for you, I didn't see the Pac-12 making that many teams in the Sweet 16, so I was pleasantly surprised by seeing that. But now the rubber is gonna meet the road, and what I mean by that is, listen, you said it in the lead-in. We got number 7 Oregon versus number 6 UCLA. Somebody got to lose. So there go one Pac-12 team that's going to automatically make it on to the Elite Eight, and one that's going to bite the dust. You know what time it is. And UCLA, y'all count them out. They playing my boys. Win or lose, draw. I'm going with my boys, so I'm going to count them out. But with that said, I want to see in the Pac-12 they're going to really be a strong representation of their conference here in the Sweet 16. They done made a lot of noise. Not knocking it, they done made a lot of noise. I'm ready to see that. So that's an interesting nugget for me. Now, moving on to the Final Four. The representations I got for the Final Four. For the Midwest, I got Syracuse. Here's the deal. I know people saying, hey, it's Syracuse. They barely made the tournament. I got it. But once they get into the tournament and they put that zone, listen, all I know is this. I don't know what happens with that zone. I don't know if it's levels to the zone that they play. But the zone that they play in the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament is totally different from what they play in the regular season evidently. Because the regular season, they just getting blown off the court. They get into the tournament and this zone give people fits. So if they, I feel like if they get past number two Houston tonight, with that game being a nightcap at 9:55 Eastern Standard Time on TBS, then I feel like they will win this region. They will be the representation of the Midwest region. The South region, I'm going with Baylor, man. And multiple reasons why I'm going with Baylor. Here's the deal: the name of the game is recruiting, and Baylor is doing that now at a high. They're doing that at a higher clip than Kentucky, Duke, Kansas. I mean, listen, these are the facts. Go back and look at it. That Baylor is recruiting at a very high level right now. They recruited at a high level last year, and now not only are they recruiting with a high level, they're playing with a high level, which helps the recruiting. So everything is working for Baylor right now. Only thing they didn't do was win the Big 12, but okay, cool. The team that did win the Big 12 took a hiatus in the first round. So call it what you will. But Baylor seems to be a team that got everything together right now. I love the whole package with Baylor. And listen, they played number 5 Villanova today, 5:15 Eastern Standard Time on CBS. If they go out here and ball up Villanova or make it look one-sided, then it's a wrap because we know what Villanova brings to the table. We know what Jay Wright brings to the table. Villanova's been in the national championship at least 2 or 3 times in the last 5 years. I mean, and they hang around the Final Four. Listen, Villanova, the resume speaks for itself. So you say whatever you want about them being down this year, they're still the Villanova Wildcats. So take that for what it's worth. So I'm gonna take Baylor in the Southern Division, and then in the East, you know what it is. Roll Tide, Nate Oates. You know what I'm saying? My boy Petty. Herb Jones, the SEC Player of the Year. All that and some, etc., etc. Don't let them get too far ahead of you. I'm going to take them over UCLA. I got a UCLA blue blood. They've been playing some good ball. You got to think at some point they're going to run out of gas. Now, it was a long break between the second round and the Sweet 16. It was a pretty lengthy break. But, no team is shooting like Alabama is. Maybe Gonzaga, maybe. But Alabama is probably the top shooting team left in the tournament. And I think that's very underrated because they play in the SEC. That's fine. No big deal. We'll show you what it is. Come holler at your boy. So my East representation is Alabama. And then in the West, this is easy. This is not rocket science. I'm going to take Gonzaga. Listen, when you talk about as much as I like Baylor, when I say the most complete team in this tournament, most likely, is Gonzaga. Gonzaga got back a lot of leadership throughout the years. They got seniors and juniors all over this roster. It is going to be a tough outing against Gonzaga, whoever to play. I mean, I think right now Gonzaga is the favorite to win the tournament. And I'm not mad at that because they deserve the right to have that, they deserve the right to have that benefit of the doubt because of how they've been playing. So I got in the rehearse. I got Midwest. I got Syracuse. The South, I got Baylor. The East, I got Alabama. And the West, I got Gonzaga. That is my Final Four.
Yeah, the first things that stand out is the Pac-12 still being here with 4 teams. So much congratulations deserves to go out for them for this, and they're guaranteed to at least get one team through by virtue of Oregon, Southern Cal. But the tough thing about that is the winner of that game will most likely have to go up against Gonzaga. So we may be able to turn the lights down on them pretty soon. But they've performed much better than I could have ever imagined, and we certainly don't see this in another sport. But we'll leave that alone. I think as far as your number one seeds, I've been concerned about Michigan for some time now with Isaiah Livers not being available, and I think they get got by Florida State, and the betting line is pretty telling. That 2.5 that they're giving Michigan is the second tightest margin that the odds makers have. The other one is a 2-point advantage for Southern Cal against Oregon, and that's a 6-7 matchup. So that kind of gives you an idea of how the odds makers see it. And I think Michigan's been able to get through the first 2 rounds, but when you get to the regional semifinals and so on, it's a different animal. And I think Florida State's got the size, they got the experience, they got a great coach in Leonard Hamilton, and I think Florida State's going to win this one. Um, I think they're going to give the size that they have is going to give their big man Hunter Dickinson some problems, and I think Florida State will get through. Um, Alabama, I think Alabama's going to get through, and I think Alabama will be your representative out of the East. Gonzaga, I just think they're too good, and I do agree. I think they're the favorites. I think they wind up winning it all, and Creighton's that's a fine program. They've had a tremendous season, but I don't think, and I think they'll be able to score. They'll be able to score, but you're going to have to get some stops against Gonzaga, and I think Gonzaga is just too powerful. I think that one's going to be a shootout. You could see that game get well into the 80s or the 90s with how
Mm-hmm.
those teams play offensively. But I think Gonzaga comes out of the West. Uh, Oral Roberts has been a wild ride, and I think that could be they could give Arkansas some problems. Remember, Arkansas they had a lot of problems in the first round against Colgate, who was a 14 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Oral Roberts has that duo, the first round game they scored almost 60 points, I believe. So they got a dynamic duo that can give you a lot of problems. Um, you know what? Who cares? Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts is in the Elite Eight. Go ahead and come on in there. But beyond Oral Roberts, in that South region, at the end of the day, I think Baylor, much like Gonzaga, is too good. I think Baylor is also too powerful, and I think Baylor will wind up getting through for the South region. I don't see I don't see Villanova being able to handle what they can do. Even though you're absolutely right, Villanova is they're a top five program with what they're able to do year in and year out. And regardless of what you think about how they played in the regular season, probably wasn't quite up to par with what Jay Rice used to. They in the Sweet 16. So at the end of the day, I mean, it don't matter. Like for example, we know Syracuse year in and year out, they always on the bubble. They always wind up on the right side of the bubble, and then they in the Sweet 16, and no one really cares that they're an 11th seed, which is what they're doing again. And I really hope you're wrong about this. I have no interest in seeing that zone anymore, and I have to. I really hope Houston gets them on out of there because if they beat Houston, then they'll have a great chance. Because I think I'm more confident in Loyola Chicago beating Houston than I am in Loyola Chicago beating Syracuse because of that zone and the problems it gives teams, outside the ACC who see it, week in and week out.
Right.
But I think Houston does get Syracuse, and I think Loyola Chicago is coming out of the Midwest. I've seen enough on them. I'm sold. That they no team out there epitomizes the word team than Loyola Chicago. Their talent level, is not the same individually as a lot of these other teams, but especially in this that got to feel they're a favorite. They're a 7 point favorite against Oregon State, so they're
Right.
getting respect here. I think they get through, and I think they able to get another big upset against Houston. So my final four: Gonzaga and Baylor. They handle their business. Alabama gets through. They beat Florida State after Florida State beats Michigan, and Loyola Chicago. That Cinderella story continues, and that'll be your final four.